undiscovered islands to the northwest of Hispaniola had reached Spain by 1511, and Ferdinand was interested in forestalling further exploration and discovery by Colón. In an effort to reward Ponce de Leon for his services, Ferdinand urged him to seek these new lands outside the authority of Colón. Ponce de Leon readily agreed to a new venture, and in February 1512, a royal contract was dispatched outlining his rights and authorities to search for the islands of Benami. The contract stipulated that Ponce de Leon held exclusive rights to the discovery of Benami and neighboring islands for the next 3 years. He would be governor for life of any lands he discovered, but he was expected to finance for himself all cost of exploration and settlement. In addition, the contract gave specific instructions for the distribution of gold, Native Americans, and other profits extracted from the new lands. Notably, there was no mention of a rejuvenating fountain. Ponce de Leon was equipped three ships with at least 200 men at his own expense and set out from Puerto Rico on March 4th, 1513. The only contemporary description known for this expedition comes from Antonio de Herrera y Tordesillas, a Spanish historian who apparently had access to the original ship's logs or related secondary sources from which he created a summary of the voyage published in 1601. The brevity of the account and occasional gaps in the record have led historians to speculate and dispute many details of the voyage. The 3 ships in this small fleet were the Santiago, the San Cristobal, and the Santa Maria de la Consolación. Anton de Alaminos was their chief pilot. He was already an experienced sailor and would become one of the most respected pilots in the region. After leaving Puerto Rico, they sailed northwest along the great chain of Bahama Islands known as the Lucayos. By March 27th, Easter Sunday, they reached the northern end of the Bahamas, sighting an unfamiliar island, probably Great Abaco. For the next several days, the fleet crossed open water until April 2nd, 1513, when they sighted land which Ponce de Leon believed was another island. He named it La Florida in recognition of the verdant landscape and because it was the Easter season, which the Spaniards called Pascua Florida, Festival of Flowers. The following day they came ashore to seek information and take possession of this new land. The precise location of their landing on the Florida coast has been disputed for many years. Some historians believe it occurred at St. Augustine. Others prefer a more southern landing at a small harbor now called Ponce de Leon Inlet. And some argue that Ponce came ashore even farther south near the present location of Melbourne Beach. After remaining in the vicinity of their first landing for about 5 days, the ships turned south for further exploration of the coast. On April 8th, they encountered a current so strong that it pushed them backwards and forced them to seek anchorage. The Eventually, they found a gap in the reefs and sailed to the north and other times to the northeast until they reached the Florida mainland on May 23rd. Again, the exact site of their landfall is controversial. The vicinity of Charlotte,